Hey neighbor, my name is Jason and I want to start by acknowledging that Jesus is a genius. When asked what the greatest commandment in the law is, Jesus gives the most strategic and greatest commandment that, if actually followed by his followers, would change the world. What does he say? Love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your mind. This is the first and greatest commandment. And the second is like it. Love your neighbor as yourself. All the law and the prophets hang on these two commandments. That's it. Love God and love your neighbor. What if we as followers of Jesus excelled at loving God and loving our actual neighbors? What community issues would no longer exist? What would the change to our mental health and the mental health of others be like? Would it even be possible for crime and violence to be drastically diminished? I think the impact of us seeing Jesus as a genius and taking him seriously by loving our actual neighbors would have a massive impact on our community in all of these areas and in many others. And that's why, as a church, we've made it a point to talk about this, about loving our neighbors, every single year. Now, I don't have to tell you that this year it's not like most years. The pandemic and the restrictions that we're under and the care that we've got to take to love our neighbors who are most vulnerable and at risk, it can make it even more challenging than ever to obey Jesus' command to love our neighbors. But we can't allow that to stop us from taking some simple steps to put Jesus' genius command into action. Over the next few weeks, we'll be sharing some short videos with some special tips aimed at how we can love our actual neighbors during this season. And I know it can be easy for us to think about what we can't do right now. But what I'm asking all of us to do is to think about what we can do in this season while being responsible in our interactions with others. So let's join together as Jesus' church and let's place our focus and our energy on loving God and loving our actual neighbors. Let's get practical. How can we love our actual neighbors during COVID-19? First of all, we can reach out to our neighbors via phone or email. Just the simple act of checking in with them and letting them know that someone nearby cares about them and wants to help them with anything they need, that can be an extremely encouraging and helpful thing, even for their mental health. And if you do call, be prepared to listen. That's an amazing gift by itself. And if needs should arise, be prepared to help them with anything that you can help them with. And remember to stay safe as you do that. And if it is appropriate, don't hesitate to pray and say a short prayer for them while you're on the line. And if you are talking to someone who is older or at risk, I want you to ask them specifically, can I run an errand for you? Or can I do anything else for you today? And if you don't have your neighbor's contact info, why not just take a few minutes and write a quick note to them and leave it on their door? There's a link in the description below that you can click on so that you could see a sample note. A second simple step today that you could take is that when you see people outside, make it a point to talk to them. I mean, way too simple, right? But have you noticed, like me, that there are a lot more people in your neighborhood who are out and about, walking around, being outside, and 1-minute conversations are a big deal when it comes to building relationships in your neighborhood. So one thing you could do is you could print out the "Who is my neighbor" card, and you can use that to help you to track all the people that you meet, write down their names and something about them on that card. And you'll find a link to that very card in the description below as well that you can click on and use to print out and then write on. Those are the first tips that we can put into practice this week. And I'll be back next week with just a few more tips, but today I want to leave you with this thought. What we do in our front yards counts. It's real ministry, just as real as serving on the board or in children's ministry or handing out food bags at church. So thank you for putting Jesus' genius command into action and loving your neighbor. See you next week.